Today, I want to talk about something that's honestly really worrying, and that's the fact that more and more Australians are just one paycheck away from being homeless. I know that sounds dramatic, but it's not an exaggeration. It's the reality for millions of people right now. And the craziest part is, it's not just the unemployed or the struggling. It's everyday Aussies, people with jobs, families, degrees, people who, on paper, are doing everything right. But one unexpected bill, one job loss, one rent hike, and it could all come crashing down. Let's get into it. So first, let's talk about where things stand. In 2024, a survey by Anglicare Australia found that less than 1% of rental listings nationwide were affordable for someone earning a full-time minimum wage. Less than 1%. Let that sink in. And it's not just people on minimum wage feeling the heat. Even double-income households are finding it tough. Rents have been skyrocketing, groceries are up, power bills are through the roof, and wages barely moving. At the same time, savings rates have plummeted. According to the ABS, household savings as a percentage of income dropped from around 19% during the pandemic to just 3.2% in early 2025. Basically, people aren't saving, not because they don't want to, but because there's literally nothing left after they pay the bills. So when you hear that a third of Australians couldn't cover a $500 emergency without borrowing money, that's not surprising anymore. It's the new normal, and it's terrifying. The cost of rent. Let's talk about rent for a second, because honestly, that's where the pressure is hitting the hardest. In Sydney, the median rent for a house is now over $800 a week. In Melbourne, it's sitting around $600. Even places like Brisbane, Adelaide, and Perth, cities that used to be seen as more affordable, have recorded double-digit rent hikes year after year. And it's not slowing down. Demand is sky high. Vacancies are at record lows, and landlords are cashing in. It's getting to the point where spending 50% or more of your income on rent isn't just common, it's becoming normal. And when you're handing over half your paycheck just to keep a roof over your head, what's left? How are you supposed to build a buffer? How are you supposed to save for a rainy day? The sad answer is, you're not. You're just surviving. Scraping by, hoping nothing goes wrong because you know there's no safety net if it does. And it's not just young people copying it. Families are getting squeezed too. Hard. Single parents are doing it even tougher. Older Australians who don't own their homes are facing terrifying choices. That old rule of thumb, that you should spend no more than 30% of your income on housing? Honestly, that's a joke now. For a lot of Aussies, it's not even remotely possible. It's a distant dream that belongs to another era. The myth of just work harder. Now, a lot of people, especially online, love to throw around advice like, well, if you're struggling, just get a better job. Work harder. Save more. And honestly, that mindset is so completely out of touch with what's really happening for everyday Australians. First off, wages have been stagnant for years. Right now, the average wage growth in Australia is hovering around 4%, but inflation has been running even higher than that. So even if you're lucky enough to get a pay rise, chances are you're still going backwards in real terms. Your paycheck might look slightly bigger on paper, but your cost of living has blown past it. Secondly, the nature of work has changed. A lot of jobs today are casual, contract-based, or part-time. You might be working full-time hours, or even overtime, but still have no access to sick leave, no holiday pay, and absolutely no job security. One bad week, one canceled shift, and suddenly you're scrambling to make rent or put food on the table. So even if you're hustling, grinding, and doing everything you're supposed to do, you're still walking a tightrope with no safety net underneath. This isn't about laziness. It's about a system that's shifted so much that hard work doesn't guarantee security anymore, and pretending otherwise just ignores the reality millions of Aussies are living through every single day. Home ownership isn't the answer anymore. You might be thinking, all right, renting's a nightmare. Why not just buy a place and get some stability? Yeah, easier said than done. In 2025, the median house price in Australia is sitting around $850,000 nationally. And if you're looking in Sydney, you're looking at over $1.2 million. It's completely out of reach for most people, even if you somehow manage to scrape together a 20% deposit, which, by the way, is about $170,000 for an average house. You're still not out of the woods. You're then locked into a massive mortgage where your monthly repayments are even higher than what rent used to be just a few years ago. And let's not forget about interest rates. Over the last couple of years, the Reserve Bank hiked rates again and again, trying to get inflation under control. Now, the average variable mortgage rate is sitting at over 7%. That means even if you bought when rates were low, you're probably feeling serious financial pressure today. The reality is, owning a home doesn't guarantee security anymore. About 1 in 4 households are experiencing mortgage stress, meaning they're spending more than 30% of their income just on repayments. It's brutal. Renting feels impossible. Buying feels impossible. Right now, it honestly feels like either way, you're stuck playing a game you can't win. The hidden homeless. And while we're on the topic, let's be clear about what homeless actually means. It's not just people sleeping rough on the streets, although, sadly, that's happening more and more too. Homelessness covers a lot of situations you don't always see. It can mean couch surfing with friends because you've got nowhere else to go. It can mean living in your car because you can't afford rent. It can mean cramming into overcrowded share houses, staying in short-term shelters, or moving from motel to motel just to keep a roof over your head. According to the 2021 census, over 122,000 Australians were recorded as homeless. But experts say the real number is likely much higher because so much homelessness is hidden. People don't always report it. Sometimes they're too ashamed. Sometimes they're just doing whatever they can to get by, flying under the radar. And here's the part that really hits hard. The fastest growing group of homeless people in Australia? Older women over 55. Women who spent decades raising families, working jobs, contributing to society, and now they're living out of their cars or bouncing between spare rooms because they simply can't afford today's insane rents. It's heartbreaking. And it really drives home the point that so many Australians are just one bad break away from falling over the edge themselves. The mental toll. It's not just about financial stress either. It's the mental toll that comes with it. Constantly living paycheck to paycheck wears you down in ways you don't always see straight away. It's exhausting carrying that worry around all the time. You're always on edge, wondering if you'll make rent this month, if you can cover the bills, if an unexpected expense will completely wipe you out. That kind of stress messes with you. It makes you anxious. It makes you short-tempered with the people you love. It chips away at your mental health. You don't sleep properly. You get sick more often. You start withdrawing from friends and family because you're too stressed or too ashamed to admit how bad things are. And here's the cruel part. The more stressed and overwhelmed you get, the harder it becomes to keep working and stay afloat. It's hard to perform well at work when you're running on no sleep and constant anxiety. It's hard to keep pushing when you're mentally and emotionally drained. It becomes this vicious cycle. Struggling financially leads to worse mental health, which makes it harder to function, which then leads to even more financial struggles. And around it goes. It's a trap. And right now, thousands, maybe even millions, of Australians are stuck in it, trying desperately to hang on. Government help? You might be wondering, where's the government in all this? What's being done to actually fix the problem? Well, to be fair, there have been some moves. There's been talk about building more social housing, boosting Commonwealth rent assistance, and lifting the minimum wage. Some states have introduced new rental reforms, trying to give tenants a bit more security. But honestly, it's not enough. Not even close. There's still a massive shortage of affordable housing. Waiting lists for public housing are years long, and that's if you're lucky enough to even get on one. Meanwhile, rent assistance hasn't kept up with how fast actual rents have exploded. A few extra dollars a week doesn't really make a dent when your rent has jumped by hundreds. Even with the help that's out there, many Australians are just barely keeping their heads above water. It's survival, not stability. And the really sad part is, unless we see massive systemic change, not just tiny tweaks around the edges, things are only going to get worse. We're talking serious investment in affordable housing, stronger tenant protections, real, meaningful wage growth. Without those kinds of changes, more and more Australians are going to find themselves living closer and closer to the edge, or falling off it completely. It's not just poor people. One thing I really want to stress is that this isn't just about poor people anymore. It's not just happening to some small, isolated group at the edges of society. The idea that homelessness or financial ruin only happens to other people, people who made bad choices or didn't work hard enough, is completely outdated. Honestly, it's dangerous thinking at this point because it blinds us to how widespread and serious the problem has become. Today, it's nurses, it's teachers, it's retail workers, it's hospitality staff, it's people working full-time jobs, jobs that used to be seen as stable and respectable. It's recent graduates trying to get a foot in the door. It's older Australians who spent their whole lives working and now can't afford rising rents. It's families where both parents are working, sometimes both working more than one job, and still barely scraping by. It's people who get sick, people who lose a job unexpectedly, people who just have a bad run of luck at the wrong time. You can be doing everything right, studying hard, working long hours, budgeting carefully, and still fall behind. And the scariest part? The gap between doing okay and being in crisis is shrinking every single year. The safety nets are thinner, the margins are smaller, and more people are finding themselves closer to the edge than they ever thought possible. What can be done? So, what can actually be done? What needs to happen to turn this around? First off, we need serious, large-scale action, not just promises, not just announcements, real action. We need more affordable housing, full stop. That means actually building it, not just talking about it, not just setting future targets. Homes that people can afford right now, not 5 or 10 years down the line. We need stronger renters' rights. People shouldn't be getting priced out with huge rent hikes or evicted for no real reason. Renters deserve stability, not the constant fear of being forced to move or pay hundreds more overnight. We need real wage growth, and not tiny raises that get wiped out by inflation the moment they land in your bank account. People need pay increases that actually allow them to live, not just survive. We also need much better mental health support, especially for people dealing with the crushing pressure of financial stress. Struggling to make ends meet shouldn't have to mean struggling alone. And just as importantly, we need to change the way we talk about money problems. This isn't about people being lazy or irresponsible. It's about a system that's failing too many. At a personal level, it's about staying aware, supporting each other where we can, and pushing for real change. Because honestly, in a country as wealthy as Australia, no one should be living one paycheck away from disaster. Look, I know this has been heavy. It's not an easy topic to talk about, but it's important because pretending everything's fine doesn't fix anything. If you're feeling the pressure right now, please know this. You are not alone. It might feel isolating, like you're the only one barely holding it together. But the truth is, so many people are struggling, quietly, invisibly, and it's not a reflection of your worth or your effort. It's a reflection of a system that's making it harder and harder just to get by. And if you're doing okay right now, that's genuinely great. But stay aware of how quickly things can change. Stay compassionate. And maybe, when you can, be that person who helps someone else stay afloat. Even small acts of support can make a bigger difference than you realize. Because at the end of the day, what's going to get us through this isn't just government policy. It's community. It's people looking out for each other. It's refusing to look away when things get tough. Thanks for sticking with me through this one. If you found this helpful, or if you have thoughts, experiences, or ideas to share, drop them in the comments. Let's talk about it. Let's not stay silent. And if this resonated with you, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. See you next time.